Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in and welcome. We are about to get kicked off with an exciting day of Valorant today with our first game of the night. We're going to be having a match between our #1 ranked John Wood Community College Blazers against the Blinn College Buccaneers, who are actually ranked the #4 seed going into this part of the bracket. So, Tristan, how are you feeling tonight? Hopefully, I'm looking forward to some great games today.
Oh yeah, I am excited, especially when you get the first seed right off the bat. It's going to be a hard-hitting game, and you're going to see the very best of what collegiate Valorant has to offer. And so, that being said, our map won. John Wood did ban bind. The Buccaneers responded with an ascent ban of their own. And so for the first map, we have Jay Wood's pick being split. Buccaneers will pick defense, and so first half we're going to see them trying to post up, trying to put a stop to any of Jay Wood's strategies they have planned out for this map. And already a few lock-ins, a few hovers. The Killjoy coming out very early here for Jinx, and Killjoy's split is just so hard to push through. I'm expecting to see that on both teams here, especially, I mean, you can pivot it around towards different sites, even use it towards heaven if you want to. A lot of different looks this agent can give, and a lot of devastating setups can really stop any site push if you happen to be the unlucky entry fragger heading into that one.
Absolutely. You have to really make sure that whoever you're going to be leading the way, having play on those duelist positions. If they're not going to be spot on, there's going to be too much to really have to clean up and make up for when, especially when you go into the to the retakes or defensive side of things. And I was really looking forward to seeing how early today we were going to get Astra involved in a composition, and we already have it right off the bat on our defensive side to start things off here on split. So with the way that her utilities are going to come into play, a lot of teams already starting to get a good feel for how she is going to really affect the meta and the current usage of all these other agents. But I think really it's that kind of that cycle that you see where there's a new agent released, and then people will immediately find that those most prominent uses, those most I don't want to use the word exploits, but those most dominating situations to utilize her. And right here, I think, is really the infancy of that. So let's see how people are going to be able to adjust potentially going into this opening round right here for the eco.
Yeah, and that being said, already, Irie with the classic, going to try and stop them from this heaven position, but they are showing a heavy pressure towards this A site. Not moving out just yet, though, hoping someone gets too aggressive and they can punish. Reach, meanwhile, just playing towards mid, providing a bit of pressure, asked to not let the rotations come out too early. Roomba over the wall. Sweep out anyone who's playing close, potentially. Astra smokes being tossed across the map. A little bit of spam through, not going to tag onto much. And back up into the heaven they go.
And the rotation, though, coming around near that A site, they actually seem to be changing their mind. Before pushing up into that heaven area, they wanted to clear out the zone, but you can see Astra taking a pretty reserved position up there, just not stepping in yet, just getting as much information as possible. And Jinx on the site does end up capping the first kill as they push on. So they are going to retreat just for the time being, as Westy gets a double kill near mid on the map. So as that collapses down towards A, over on that defensive side, you do have the rotation now coming in through sewers, but Westy is going to be sensing somebody coming up in this middle portion of the map, waiting for the rotation. And let's see exactly if he's going to be able to catch at least one rotating through. They already do know somebody is going to be there, trying to wait near the ropes, turning his back right before crossing that line of sight. And they turn away at the wrong time, and Westy getting his 4th kill to wrap up that first round.
Westy, a nuclear defense starting off this round well for the Bucks, as they get an easy first round strung together now. I see the idea behind John Wood's strategy there. They pressure A, they make sure they want to try and draw the rotations, and just then the mid split can come into effect, but it just gets shut down by Westy there. 2 burst shots with the classic, 2 kills, picks up the ghost, then rotates out towards ropes, and from there it's just an off angle, and there was no information for John Wood to rotate back off of. By then, there was repositions from the defense, and they were already down so many members that it was just a shot in the dark that didn't pan out for them. This time around, though, an early sage wall will get blocked off, will get immediately blasted out by the side of John Wood here. As we see a bit more pressure, out goes Brimston over the wall. That is no fear in his eyes, no respect being shown. He'll get a double for himself before being traded out by Twisterman, who is able to recover this Spectre if he gets close enough to the body.
They do have that small choke point now. Nobody wants to push through yet where that opening of the Sage Wall came through. Just trying to utilize a little bit of visual through that opening, and now going to be sneaky about that rotation, trying to come through towards the garage side on B. They only have one on the site, but the second one watching from heaven to get the cross as they push on. Aster waiting to pop one of those utilities once they get the notification that somebody is stopping by. And there, I believe, Just Insane barely either missing or catching a glimpse of somebody, but they already do know that somebody's there with the wall coming down to guide them onto the site. The plant already coming down, so they're going with the aggressive push, already seeing the opening, and they want to make sure that they dominate and put their foot down here early. They're able to get onto the site, but Green does wipe two with West T taken off of the board as well. They do have to collapse down with Just Insane already sensing somebody there. He did see the Sage, but with great trigger discipline, waits out for the second kill to line them both up and get the defuse for a beautiful retake and getting their second round on the board.
Oh, and Just Insane bails them out of a bad situation. That looks scary. That looks sketchy. After the recovered Spectre came into play there, started taking down a few members, and that's a lot more than you'd like to lose, especially when it comes to a bonus round versus just the classics. And that's going to cost them heading into this third. No one's going to be able to really buy up comfortably, because if you full buy this round, you're not going to have enough for the next. And so you really have to make a decision here. Do you just go with the light buys and put yourself at a disadvantage for the next round? Or do you just go for the full-on all-out, spend all your money, throw it at the wall instead? Looks like we're seeing a few Spectres so that they can afford the next round.
And already there comes the information of the push again into garage. They do have one setup though in center to just at least spread some noise that way and trying to throw them off their game, but Fenrir are going to be rotating at least back through for the time being and trying to see where they're going to get that opening from. And they do have two rifles on their side, but let's see if they're going to be able to pop a few more of these frags and potentially pick up some more of those weapons to boost their economy just a little bit here after falling behind in the early stages of this game.
Yeah, and we see just some patience being shown here. No one wants to overextend just yet. After seeing how Brimston was willing to take some early fights in the previous rounds, they're hoping that he does the same. But this time around, more disciplined play coming out from the Buccaneers. Not going to allow them any free picks, any free space on the map, as West T could end up walking into the crosshairs of Green here. He's waiting and ready for it, but no action just yet. No kills across the board. Now back onto the A site. We have reached all the way through heaven. He's getting an eyeful here as Irie waiting around the corner. Smoked off, but he did catch a glimpse of that hat. Now onto the site. Jinx has everything to do. The turret will sound off. He knows what they are. Gets the first for himself, but through the wall, Andy trades it back. Reach, meanwhile, up in heaven, was able to secure a kill for themselves, and so full control of the site. With 12 seconds left, they'll get the bomb plant down, and a fantastic post plant already being set up with Reach on the rafters.
Yeah, and sending that boombot towards screens, not able to pick up anything as far as information goes. Just Insane, though, now getting that chance to sneak on and catching Reach with that delayed movement. Reach definitely not in the right positioning there after dropping that boombot, thinking he was a little bit too safe. A second kill going for Just Insane as he moves onto the site with that Reyna, tanking his way through and trying to blast through the wall, or at least throw that person off their game who was waiting right on the opposing side, catching him off guard, trying to get one of his utilities out. And another kill drops him down for that bomb, but they're not able to get the defuse down with the molly coming into play. An expert move there from Twisterman on that delayed move from the molly. You can never count out anybody when you have somebody with a brain like that and utilities to go at the ready.
John Wood flexing their own tactical prowess there. Beautiful Molly lineup there. I thought they were lost. I was wondering why Twisterman was playing back towards ramps. I should have known better. I should have known that he had a plan the entire time, and it came to fruition. It all came together. to get the first round on the board for John Wood. Now that being said, they may have won the round, but look at their buys. This is rather pathetic when you consider they just won a round. They have to go with light armor and sheriffs. And that's just one of the funny things, the fickle things about the Valorant economy. But Fenrir doesn't need a full rifle. He doesn't need a gun because all it takes is the sheriff. This town ain't big enough for the two of them. He'll get the opening pick, and they can recover at least another pistol off the back of that. It won't mean too much in the end. But hey, a great start to this round nonetheless for the side of John Wood, and they needed that if they want to contest this one.
Yeah, utilizing that sheriff perfectly right off the bat. Would have been nice if they could have gotten a better rifle from there, but they're going to use that strength in numbers now to move their way towards the middle of the map and try and split these members of the opposing team now towards the B side. So actually looks like that backed up now in the spawn area. Reach going to be trying to close out that spot with one of his grenades, not able to wipe anybody up, but he does sense somebody being there. In the meantime, you have Green on site getting dropped by Just Insane, who holds the position in the back, getting the overheal and getting his third and fourth kill of the round, just owning the site completely and only leaving Reach at his lonesome. Most likely nothing he can do in this position here with only a sheriff to go. He has not much to do from his standing point. As he moves slowly onto the site, he's just going to at least try and make some noise, trying to get at least a frag and do what he can to hurt their economy. But another kill down, and that's going to be off the board for them. Another round back in their favor here. And it's I believe that the way that things have been going for them so far, at least now, this is perfect. Where, I mean, they were starting to lose the economy. I would say things were starting to fall apart a little bit for the Blazers, but now slowly starting to come back into it.
Man, oh man, what a defense there. Just Insane, living up to his name, blocks out everyone from having access to that B site. It was closed for business. He was alone with the rifle too, and so if he gives up that kill, that could actually make the round messy, and he just answers the call. That was beautifully done, beautifully played, as we see more mid pressure being shown early on here. A bit of utility being traded back and forth. No one going to take much damage from the paint shells just yet. They're all able to get out of the way. And with this, they destroy the wall yet again. This is one thing I love about their strategy. They're never letting them feel comfortable with a full mid close off. As I say that, around the corner, the curveball going to push off Brimston. And now back they go. But again, very minimal progress being made by both sides here.
No information gained either from more of those utilities being sent out, so it looks like with the patience game coming into play here, they do start stacking over towards that B side. Backing up now again towards the middle. Green trying to catch the angle, but getting slowed down in the center portion as they do push onto the side. He using that for a little bit of a distraction. Just Insane coming around, sneaking around, but the Cypher Cage comes in at the perfect time to throw off him off the game. Fenrir getting that kill with Green following it up nicely. They do have a huge advantage as they push into heaven.
Oh, a falling spray goes awry for Twisterman. He had a player dead to rights with the back turn, but it didn't pan out, and now he's playing the most awkward of angles right below heaven. He's hoping to shoot someone in the crotch as he's trying to spring out, but they're going to see the gun barrel. Jace gets himself a freebie now towards the back of the site, lines up another headshot. It's a 2v2 now on the site as he reloads, but it's oh so close to Andy. If he springs from around the corner, this could get messy. It's 4 for Jinx, doesn't get the ace, but he sets up his teammate for it. Andy in the end comes out on top with a 3K.
Just expert moves from him as he's able to hold the positioning the way that he did. And really, when you storm onto the site that way and you're able to just make yourselves known, so much easier for you to build that confidence going in later as you build these rounds up. And they did not want to falter just yet as they are still keeping things together. And with the Buccaneers already leading things from the jump, it is going to be nice just clawing things little by little here to try and come back. Westy dropping, again, another wall in the center just to try and shake things up a bit as they are maintaining a pretty strong method here of pushing in through the center, but they already are anticipating it now. Slowed up in here in this side pocket as the flash comes through. That's Irie getting the double kill, completely standing in motion and not being scared to wait it out, see who's going to be aggressive on that move. Andy with a nice take on that corner spray to get back up into the sewers here, but with just himself, I mean, having to rotate now and getting sandwiched here around that A site, there's going to be not much for him to do unless he pulls off the play of his life.
Yeah, the biggest issue is the fact that all of his teammates died very deep in mid. He has the resurrection to try and make this. Maybe if he were to get another kill, he could make it a 2v3. The round would be possible, but all of his teammates are just dead so deep in mid. Good luck getting to them. That being said, though, they are left relatively undefended. Only Westie is here taking an off angle towards mid. This is going to be very hard for Andy to best this one, but if he's able to do it, this could get into the realm of possibility. He's got a headshot for himself, and 70 HP may have an opportunity to res a teammate and get back out onto a site. Does he decide to go for it is the question. Walls off one, and instead will just sprint over himself. Doesn't want to use the ultimate. We'll just try and get it all done with the rifle. Not going to happen. Irie waiting around the corner. It's something that Andy wasn't expecting as he tried to hop onto the site. Didn't have a lot of time to work with, and so it's a little sloppy, but it happens.
Yeah, very decent showing. I'm very happy to see right here from the Blazers coming in here and just already with the way that they're leading this game, things are starting to look like they're coming to form for them. But speaking of which, you do have this setup here always in mind. When you have Astra in your pocket, just being so easy to utilize and place your setups anywhere on the map, it is very integral to make sure that you're playing as passive as possible if you're going to be in that position. But as they do already storm onto the site here, that's going to be, it looks like an A push. They already have that strength in numbers ready to move on to the site as they are. Jinx, though, waiting it out behind the information sign and getting the double kill with a compliment by Brimstem. He gets his third of the round, but Jinx cannot wrap up a fourth with only 2 remaining. And I don't think that they're going to be able to make last much longer as they're hiding it out in potentially the worst spot. Everybody storming onto the site and collapsing down, getting another round in their favor.
And that was such awkward positioning. They were stuck under heaven. They were getting sandwiched from all different sides. And Jinx with some crispy headshots there stuffs the push all by himself. And with that, it's 5 rounds for the Bucks as they have a fantastic defensive side lining up for themselves. And when you're the side of Jay Wood here, you're starting to get a little bit anxious. You know, you want to be able to put up some rounds on the board here on your attacking side. This map is a little bit more defensive heavy, and so hey, you can at least take the 2 rounds that you got so far and just try and tack on a few more before you get to the half.
Another push coming to A site from Blazers. Looks like they're going to be taking the peek towards heaven. That's Irie getting the information and dropping perfectly onto that position where they're pushing in. And now as they drop the boombot in, with more utilities flying in down towards ropes, almost dropping it into an instant kill, but not able to do so. Surviving long enough, but Fenrir finally taking Brimstem out of the equation there as they do make a rotation now towards B site through mid. And the members from the Buccaneers now going to be wrapping around trying to cut them off.
Yeah, they will be able to get the bomb plant down at the very least. They're a bit late on the rotations, didn't leave a lurker towards that B site. They're a bit worried about the A crunch coming in too quick before they can stop it. And so money in the bank at the very least. And so this crossfire could provide them a few kills if they're able to play it right. But Andy, he just gets pulled in by the gravity well. Didn't have much of an opportunity there. And not when Jinx is firing in all cylinders like that. Another headshot to close out the round. Now with 12 frags on a Sentinel champion, on a Jinx, or on a Killjoy of all champs, of all agents. And that's going to be the 6 on the board with relative ease for the Buccaneers.
Tristan leaking the future Riot agent Jinx, it sounds like, I guess, is but either way, yeah, that's a very dominating display right there. As a Killjoy main, makes me smile for sure. You have him doing work right now, and holding it down is the best thing for them right here on defenses. You do have now most of that team rocking their ultimates. Let's see who's going to be able to make it known here right now. Sage has been pretty much in a I'd say the best defensive position that they could get right now behind Astro. And you have now with the resurrection really coming into play, it's going to have to really change things up here for them, because with them playing on defense here, this attacking team has not had any luck. And really, it's always hard trying to push onto A site anyway. And they have just, it's only until I'd say right now that they're deciding to try and change things up a bit.
Oh, and they're starting to get wise to the strategy of John Wood as they try and move towards heaven. They have a crossfire already set up there, and it's so rare you see that early on, but Jinx this time will not find the better of Twisterman as he gets a clean headshot to entry the site. Full access towards B. They'll have the bomb plant down, and there are some long rotations that need to be made before the retake can come into fruition. Brimston, meanwhile, just guarding from heaven. Meanwhile, Green is also holding up a few members mid, showing some pressure, seeing the ponytail sticking out from the stage, and just dancing with her, eventually cleaning her head off her shoulders. Her clock has been dusted. Just insane, though. He's already made it onto the site, has a tripwire waiting for him, but he's worried about the potential flank. He's worried about the lurker heaven, and so they always have to be looking over their shoulders. And while they do that, Green slowly walking himself out. He's got one, he's got two, looking for the third, but Irie puts an end to him. Still, he'll get it down to a 1v2 and low HP on the Sage, but with that molly and the bomb, he's only got 10 HP himself. He can't make it happen. He's got to evacuate the area to give John Wood their third round.
That is exactly what we saw earlier on, and again, the mollies are really being put down in the best places that you can imagine, where a lot of the times you forget that they're in the back pocket, where you think that you have everything going your way. They're able to come in such a delayed reaction there that are used so well. So as they're getting another round involved on their side, it's nice to see as they're keeping things together and trying to claw their way back. But as we already know, with how this map especially could be, once the half does flip around, we could just be seeing these rounds get stacked up quickly in the opposing side. So it looks like now the push coming in again towards the middle section of the map. Everybody now bunching together for the side of Blazers. Let's see if they're going to be able to get a little bit more towards this comeback.
Ooh, just insane. Holding the cross. He may get himself a peek here as Fenrir walks himself into certain death. He looks to have a second for himself. Uses that dismiss to get back around the pillar, though, as he hears the run it back, clearing out heaven. Green gets one for himself, which is more than they could ask for, considering he was doing that solo. Doesn't have any more curveballs, though, and so around the corner, they're just going to have to peek dry into potential rifles. Westy will use that resurrection, make the numbers a 5v4 in the favor of the Buccaneers. More space slowly being taken for the side of John Wood, and they have threats in all different places right now. Green still's around to the corner, though, and they're just hoping for someone to peek into them, hoping for someone to get too brave, too aggressive, and West T could be the man to do so. He's putting himself out in the open, and Green makes good on it. Brimston trades it back to make it a 1-for-1, but Breach, he is ever consistent, and he will not let his teammates die in vain. One player left on the site, and he's stuck with an operator. He can't kill everyone like this, not when they're peeking him at all these tricky types, and Twisterman is the one to cash in there. 3v2 as this post plant comes into effect.
They've truly waited very, very much till the last moment until they did go for that full rotation. You did have the solo site held with the with Jinx on the Killjoy over on A, and I mean that has just been such a story for them to make it. It's so easy once you have that player in your composition. They do make the rotation a little bit late with the confidence that they're going to at least be able to make something happen, and they do as they drop the lockdown, taking all the time that they need to space things out here. Brim also dropping his ultimate, but not able to get anybody other than creating a little bit of space. Now, finally, as they start the engagements, Jinx, with only 11 HP, is able to get one, but they cannot get onto the site in time. And another round going in the favor of Blazer.
And I really have to commend how that Brimstone ult was used there. Sure, it wasn't able to get a kill, but it forced them off the position. It allowed them to destroy that lockdown as well, so every player could retain their post plant. And it also just forced them off their own position for the retake. It stalled it out, and I think that was the right call there. They had to save afterwards, and so a round secure off of an ultimate alone, and that's going to be the fourth round. Steadily bringing back a few for John Wood here.
Full buys across with everybody. This is going to be a very interesting round as they already do sight things out here with the trade coming through, and they're going to be putting pedal to the metal, it seemed, for a moment there, potentially going onto the site, but instead thinking twice, rotating back the other way, as it looks like that somebody coming back in, Fenrir getting revived right there. So that is exactly what they were waiting for, the right opportunity to do so, and a great moment for them now as they're getting another player back involved to sneakily potentially make that way through sewers. Now, there's also the Astra wall that was momentarily in the way. They weren't able to sneak through easily, but now with that wide open midsection. Still looking to see if they can pick up at least one more frag before they move through.
And the only issue with Astrowall is that while you are using it to cut off the defense, you can't actually hear the rotations anymore.
Absolutely.
And so you have to kind of be wondering, scratching their heads, where could they have gone in that time that the wall was up? Little do they realize they're gambling, and they're gambling correctly. They have 2 members on the B site, but they get smoked off towards heaven. The showstopper could take down Irie here, and that's going to open up the site for the rest of the team. But West T drops out of heaven. He's got 1 for himself, evens up the numbers as well. He will get vision on several members. Twisterman is the next one up to the plate. His teammate tries to peek with him, but he ends up dashing right into a headshot, lines himself up, and now it's a 3-piece. Make it 4 for West T as he gets his team back onto the site with ease and with style.
His second 4-piece of the map, and already I'm surprised with the way that they are just spreading things out across the kills section of that leaderboard. You really have things as a well-oiled machine right now for this Buccaneers team. Things looking very well put for them as they come in here already shaking this Blazers team a little bit.
Yeah, it's when you have the #1 seed team actually struggling somewhat in the first half. Yes, it's a very early on in the series. It's only the first half of the first map, but hey, that's confidence that it'll give you. You're going against the best team in the tournament and you're winning.
100%.
You have some convincing rounds, especially at a West T there, who was able to single-handedly retake the site before the cavalry could even arrive, and so that's really got to feel good for you. As we see Green just walking out onto the A site, realizing that the Killjoy doesn't have an alarm bot placed just yet, and around the pillar, Jinx has everyone all over him. Reach goes even deeper. They're going to get overwhelmed on the site, and that's another good take, but there are 2 members with low HP, and so this is a very doable post-plant retake. And with that, Reach will fall back through the smoke. He does have a player going the long ways around all the way through A ramp. That could catch him unawares, but they have to start moving in soon because this bomb is ticking and ticking. It took them a while just to get this far.
Now Raze, Brimstem gonna be trying to get what he can with the boombot and the nades, at least clearing out those corners, trying to make sure there are no hidden angles as they take themselves back onto the site. Not much time remaining as they are ready to get flashed now and push through to the site with only a few more seconds ticking away. That is just insane, pushing on but not ready. With that player waiting in the corner, Twisterman is able to buy them just enough time to hold down the site for another round in the favor of Blazers.
And this one will have no survivors as the bomb, it gets very low before they even try and make an attempt to get back onto the site. By the time they're finished tapping it, it's about to blow. And so great stalling methods being used there by the Buccaneers to secure that round. As we move into the 7-5 half, it's going to be switched up. A nice little lead carved out for the Buccaneers there. Not going to mean the most, though, if they lose this pistol round. With that bonus, it'll tie things up, and so this is going to be critical.
Andy looking to split off that mid again, but from the looks of things, going to be a heavy A push yet again. And interestingly enough, they do have 2 players waiting over there to scope it out, as opposed to the normal 1 player setup that was normally over there that we were seeing from the other side of things. So let's see how things get switched up, as they already did sense they were pushing in from this side. They're going to make sure that they show you how it's done, trying to storm onto the A split here. And, A site, as you do now have 1 player down. Westie surviving things long enough as they do come in with the trades, and the majority of them going down on the side of Blazers, as you have now 1 player coming in to the site, but ending up retreating with that remaining teammate on his side.
And Andy now, he's back towards ramps, but there is a Killjoy turret there, and so they're going to hear him coming. Won't be able to have any cheeky angles just yet. You got to do it the traditional way. They're going to draw a few players' attention. They're all staring towards ramp. Now Brimston out from around the pillar. He could end up getting caught out himself. A ghost retrieve for Fenrir. He's going to have an upgrade in armory just barely, but his teammate has already been removed. And now with 2v2 on the site, Jinx is going to try and guard around the pillar. Andy's got another for himself, 6 HP, but it may be enough as the bomb is ticking. Someone's got to stick it. If he's able to get him off the bomb, this is the round 1, and he can't do it. Yes! 3K for Jinx, and the last player stuck on the bomb. It wasn't a halfway. I'm not even sure if he would have had it, even if he didn't die, even if he wasn't able to remove the planter. That was a very close call, and they cut it just a bit too close for that first round.
Again, looking very nice on that side. You have everybody now getting prepared for these setups, but the way that the last round really comes into play, I mean, yeah, that's exactly the way that you're going to hope to start off the second half, especially the way that things unrolled in that first half. Now have the push in the center with the Sage wall coming in, but they are just obliterating that wall and pushing through with no fear and trying to throw things off and pretty much coming right in and pushing in through the heaven area of B as they're still now awaiting through that smoke. Green now having to get pushed back, using all the utilities that they can to clear a path. Also on the back of the site, making sure that nobody's going to be flanking through, trying to clear any corner that they can before they go and set up the plant.
Spike planted.
Brimstone just holding heaven. Will get a free pick for himself, and I love the way they use their utility, not giving them any ways that they could possibly take easy fights. Instead, they get onto the site with no resistance, and now they even have a lurker waiting up heaven to make sure that no one can feel too comfortable going for the retake. Brimstone gonna put himself out in the open and does get taken down here, but other than that, I don't believe we're gonna be seeing too many more kills go the way of John Wood, just because look how strong this post plant is. They have every player already watching heaven. If you make yourself known, you are going to be taken out. Jinx gets one for himself, slides back down the rope before he can be finished off by Reach, and he is just keeping him occupied, keeping him busy. He's having fun with it. 20 HP. Reach does manage to take him down to cost a little more economic damage, but Justin Shane should be able to finish off the job here as he swings mid. We'll get the headshot for himself. Along with that, the round. Another one going over to the Buccaneers as they make this a 9-5 game state.
And the economy coming into play for them now late in this game. These frags are going to mean that much more, with the firepower going to be leading the way here for Blazers. And do having the advantage, for even though they do have the disadvantage in round count. So they do have an opportunity, I'd say, for them to kind of start stacking things up. And as they do spread out a little bit amongst their side, not making any choices yet as where they're going to be making their way through, but actually it seems that that A side, the way that they're stacking, could be the call here. Trying to alert some more players towards that mid side before they make their choice. Trying to get a little bit more information as well before making that move.
Man, I love this Vandal skin. It looks so clean. The beauty, the art. I automatically root for the team that uses it. As I say that, Blind coming out mid, plus the smoke to cut off Green, but he's going to be spotted as that eventually has to drop. He'll get a headshot for himself and plays it disciplined. He doesn't go for second helpings. He'd rather just fall back to his team and use that man advantage to close out the round. Fenrir waiting around the corner at a slightly off angle. Jinx trades things out. Twisterman goes down. It'll make it a 4v4. Green should have caught a glimpse of Jinx there, but as he sees the orb going down, he doesn't want to get hit by the gravity well or concussed, and so he'll move on to the site and make sure, you can have the middle area, but how are you going to get onto the site? You got 35 seconds left. You got to do something. And as I say that, Fenrir stops the push back towards heaven. He's going to draw a few rotations, and it looks like they have to commit to the site. They simply don't have enough time to be rotating in and out.
It looks like now with them moving the bomb, trying to get themselves at least away from that B site rotation now with that plant towards the A, but with the lockdown coming in, they do have to make themselves push through. Just barely having enough time to get themselves out and get that plant down. So already having to set up here, as everyone is, I don't think that they suspect, though, there is a flank behind, but they did catch him. Randa getting shut down. That's just insane. With Fenrir getting 2 kills in that exchange and already on the site, Reach is going to be storming through and dropping that final player that's holding that stand.
Just bouncing in, huh? Doesn't need to wide swing, doesn't need to give him any jiggles, just bounces on in with the blast packs. The rest of the team also doing their own jobs. They all get one for themselves. And great awareness there by Fenrir to not allow that flank to come in. That could have been crucial for Just Insane if he was able to get behind them. That could have meant a 10th on the board, and from there you are put on the back foot and you are feeling that pressure crushing down. And so fantastic retake and fantastic moves there from John Wood, despite it getting really scary. Once Jinx had that pick and once he was able to get that Killjoy lockdown on the floor, I mean, I started worrying for the chances of John Wood there, but they do a great job of not letting that pincer maneuver. They had 3 players in 3 different locations that may have been hard to clear out, but they're diligent. They know exactly how to deal with some of these awkward placements. As I say that, Brimston tries to blast pack himself into the rope room, but that smoke not deep enough to cover it entirely. And so he'll be receiving a headshot, and he's out of the round. This one is eco though, and so sometimes you just got to do some crazy stuff. Hope for some early pressure as Green. He'll go back for seconds. This time around, he's not going to play it as safe, and it works out for his favor. Fenrir also chiming in with one of his own and a 2v5. They are just getting pulled apart. Checking his camera real quick to make sure there are no players. Oh, a Marshall here. If the head is being shown, Westy has an opportunity. Not going to take it just yet. And with the last two members, they will meander their way towards sewers, hoping for maybe a lucky A take. They do only have a single player there in the Brimstone. Twister Man sitting on the rafters, may be in a one and done spot, but if he is able to take two, it'll be a 7th on the board without much pressure.
Does have a little bit of help here from Green. Looks away at the wrong time. Here, that's Irie getting his set up now in heaven with the Sage, and also looking to make sure nobody was coming up those ropes. Does sense somebody going to be there at any moment there. That's going to be Andy coming up from behind and catching the Sage in the back. The trade-off coming in, and I think that is going to break any shot they had, unless Irie can potentially get this kill on the Cypher, but there is not enough time remaining, and already he gets swarmed. So there was just way too much to overcome in that scenario there, and another round goes down.
As you could tell, Irie thinking about dropping vents there, trying to sprint to B. I'm sure the comms were looking something like, you cannot make that, don't even try it. And so he just uses his last-ditch effort to get back onto A. But 3 players waiting for you. Crossfires all around the board. It's not going to happen. And so with that, a 7th round on the board for John Wood. They did get a few guns taken out of their hands for some great efforts out of the Buccaneers. And so their economy not being built up quite how they wanted it to be. And so a few dominant rounds from the Buccaneers may put them back into economic ruin. As I say that, it's a lot easier said than done. This is a premeditated play. They already used that Astra to separate, to siphon off the sites. Just insane. Checks under heaven, checks under the rafters just to make sure. But Green pops the run it back. He'll drop, and alongside Twister Man, they combine for 3 kills. Only 2 left, and already low HP on the Astra. They may be able to get this bomb down, but that's about it. Green through the wall. He'll toss out the curveball to get himself another freebie, and he's looking for just about everyone. Sees the gun barrel, just insane, poking out. He won't be able to take down the kill, but Fenrir is there, and he is ready. That's going to be 8th for John Wood. Now suddenly, this is a very near a tie game, despite John Wood losing both of the pistol rounds.
Yeah, exactly what I was suspecting. Once things flipped around, we were going to start to see this game even out a little bit more as we push towards the later portions of this game, potentially. Let's see how evenly matched these two are going to be overall as they knock on the door from being tied. Going in late in the game, seeing any potential split of an overtime here, but on the first map, that would just sound exhausting for any of these teams, but it would be amazing for them to gain a little bit of extra knowledge going into the second map as well. So as much time as they can have forcing these setups here, you do have now that A push going to be most likely scoped out here, with Jinx getting taken out by Reach as the first engagement comes into play. And another nade getting thrown out there, with almost getting another kill in the process, but already sensing that there was going to be multiple players going to be pushing through that side. It looks like that they're starting to feel a little bit second guessing this spot, but they're, I think, making the smart play here, just hanging out and wasting all the utilities from their opponents before they really make a final decision here.
Yeah, taking the Brimstone Molly out, at least it's 300 credits. That's the consolation prize of getting your push completely stopped in its tracks. As they try and move out towards mid, do they realize that Andy is tucked in around the corner? They don't have a Sova on their composition, and so angles like this are so much more difficult to clear out when you don't have that Sova pick. Instead, it's just the paint shells being used and the dry swing, but Brimstim, he is too aware, and he realizes what could be happening. Andy will not have his free kill, and there will be a rifle retrieved on top of it. And so with that, the B side under scrutiny. It's Fenrir awaiting around the pillar in the smoke. He's going to find Reach. Instead, just decides to dive into CT rather than securing the site. But Fenrir, with 10 seconds left, he has the opportunity to put an end to this push. He's caught the player planting. They have 5 seconds. If someone can take the bomb right here, right now, they have a possibility of getting it down, but they won't have it. 2 seconds left. Twister Man can back off, and in a 1v3, he clutches it by doing absolutely nothing.
And sometimes being lazy gets ahead. I don't know, but not
the lazy bird gets the worm.
Not in the least right there. You do have him doing much more than you'd think. As much as you'd come into play there with just being as patient as you can, all you got to do is sometimes just be annoying. Just be that driving force of just being in the area sometimes is more than enough for certain situations, especially when you start to make your opponent possibly second guess where you might be going or what might be waiting for them around the corner. So as they did get the time in their favor on that round, moving now into this upcoming round with the game tied finally on the back foot here. You have tons of utility getting spammed now in the center portion of the map before these teams really make that push. Looks like they're going to have to make their way now through a second wall. That's going to be Phoenix setting up there with that blaze wall, hopefully holding them back a little bit more, as they do have one player rotating around towards the A site to see if there's going to be a segment that he could possibly open up to make this move.
Yeah, a little bit of spam being traded. No real kills, no real damage. A few shots ringing out for either side. And some armor being pierced, but other than that, Cypher just relaxing on site, waiting for the members to show themselves heaven so he can start to maneuver himself around accordingly. Oh, Reach does have an operator, just misses the timing though. Won't see the players creeping up towards heaven, and with that, he may give up some space that his team was not expecting. Should hear one player ropes, and so the sound cue is enough for him to post up. He's got the first for himself, opening up. He'll also take down the Killjoy turret to make sure that they can't get any more chip damage, and it should be that much easier to retake heaven. The curveball goes around the corner, but he blinds himself. He could have had one dead to rights there, but instead, a little bit of awkward macro play. Doesn't work out for him. Reach goes back for seconds. He'll have seconds. A hungry boy. He'll make it a 5v2, and on the site, playing around the pillar, Jinx has a lot to do and can't make it happen. Twister Man chimes in with yet another one of his own, and Irie tries to pull in the gravity well, but he's already being spammed through the wall, has to put himself out into the open, where Reach makes quick work of him. It's a clean retake, clean as a whistle. I could eat off of it. Flawless round for John Wood, and they are looking convincing going into the second half.
Yeah, and almost could have been a pretty devastating turn of events there, blinding yourself, trying to storm into heaven and make sure that they can recontrol the site, but with patience, they were able to keep it together there and just maintain a clean round, keeping everybody on the board, making sure that nobody loses any more of their weapons here. And boy, is that a huge, huge help here as you get later into this game. So as you do have Reach covering that mid portion of the map again with the op, he is going to be hopefully looking to get a quick kill, but the middle portion of the map, not where the energy lies right now. They did set up the pressure for the majority of the map, and now it looks like the strong push going to be on the flip side here, coming in through B, as they do drop now in through Garage. Lear coming in, but also the Cypher Cage blocking the Lear with a brilliant move, the way that he sets it up. Timed it perfectly in the back corner as well from avoiding Killjoy's Nano Swarm, in the second Cypher Cage being popped as he blind fires his way just through and survives as long as he can to hold it down. Just an amazing display there, man, knowing almost what was coming.
And wow, that Cypher one way. Now Green, even activating on the flank, is going to draw some attention of the players. They don't want to push out onto the B side because they're so concerned with how the backstab could come in. And so that's going to delay their push even more. And I love Green's discipline, not willing to go for the kills, just buying some time for his teammates. Andy, though, he's getting tagged up himself, looking a little bit worse for wear here as he tries to avoid the spam for a longer. Resurrection coming in just to secure this round, just to ensure that there is no possible opportunity for the Buccaneers to find some kind of fluke headshot, get themselves back in. Fenrir now on for his mortality ace. He's back from the dead, and he means business. Last player just stuck in B main. It's Irie. She's got a lot of players right in front of her, and she can hear the footsteps all around here, heading towards CT. She's just going to try and bring this gun into the next round, and it's not going to be easy because 15 seconds is a lot of time for them to chase you down all the way through CT, and they should hear her sprinting across the map now.
Barely getting out of sight. Barely getting out of sight on the other side of that spawn before they could catch her. But it looks like that, if they kept pushing through, they were actually just about to run into her. So very nice way for them to at least maintain a little bit more of the economy there on their side. They don't want to have too much of a collapse if they can help it as far as the buys go. So as they flip things around now and look forward, trying to see what's going to seal the deal here. What can they do to hopefully just stomp out these next two rounds, no problem? Because everything, the way that they have been setting up, especially as we're looking from Fenrir here, the display in that last round. The Cypher cage one way to block that Lear. It was just a beautifully set up play, already having it out. But if only that Lear had went just a few feet more and really just comes into play, these little macro plays into the big picture.
Absolutely. And now we see a different, I mean, I don't want to call it a different look because they have done this several times in the past, but pressure shown towards A main. This time, do they want to creep through this smoke? There is no Cypher on the site. There's no Killjoy, so you don't end up walking into alarm bots. It's always an option, but instead they try and do what they've been doing so many times before, moving towards heaven, and once again, it's Reach that strikes first in the round. They do have that resurrection to even up the numbers a little bit further, but Green chimes in with 2 of his own, and with that, the paint shells get a 3rd. The resurrection keeps him still for just long enough to be finished off, and he has the showstopper available on Reach if he so chooses to use it, but instead, he's just going to double blast pack himself on in. They want to secure this round and snuff out any hope that they could possibly have to bring it back around. They are running for the hills right now, but they run directly into the crosshairs of Green, who gets himself a 3rd now. It could be the full house if Reach secures himself the last kill, but he's got a backstab from Westy in there. And so at least he has the operator in his hands. He'll be able to cost him a little bit of money here, but it should be recovered unless a 2nd kill as well onto Fenrir. As the spidey senses were tingling, the hair in the arms was standing up. He realized the 2nd player could be aggressing onto him. 1 shot left in the clip though. Only has a few reloads left. And with 13 seconds, I do believe Westy is just going to be camping the spawn, trying to avoid giving this one up.
Oh, just looks away right when he was about to come into contact with Green.
Oh, and he even gets hit by the curveball.
You know someone's there. Oh, Green drops him and he loses the operator. That was a huge play. Unbelievable the way that he was able to get a kill with the op as well to damage their economy even further and help out his team. And right there on the, I mean, one of the final moments you could possibly have in game right there post round, and they were able to come into contact. Green comes out on top right there, but I don't know how much more it's going to come into play here, as they do have things set up pretty much evenly across the board for the most part, but there is that one operator setting things apart here for the side of Blazers.
That is absolutely insane from Green. He is a madman. I have no words other than that. He pre-fires, in the great words of Mo from Counter-Strike, he pre-fires an angle that doesn't exist. And he takes down an operator that was holding, expecting him to come. She heard the footsteps, but just couldn't make it happen. And so Green did pop the run it back. That time around, not going to get much for his efforts. Just a bit of information that he can relay over to his team, and moves back towards the B site. Assumes they're going to be taking heaven. And so he decides, I'm not going to be taking this fight, not this early on. And Reach, how did that shot miss? It looked like it was right over the crosshairs. But maybe he was moving. Maybe he was wiggling his feet just a little bit there. Toes wiggling just a tad bit. And that with that lockdown, they are going to be able to get onto the site unless Fenrir has something to say about it. He's going to pop the cage, but with 3 seconds left, he may put himself right in harm's way. Instead, it's the showstopper being activated. They should have full access to the site at this point.
Yeah, they're still slowly moving, just in case anybody was waiting out nearby. And a great haircut given out by Green as they're trying to come onto the site with the help of the Sage Wall, but the Sage Wall only highlighting that little bit of head that they are able to scope out, and Green getting his 2nd kill as well. Complement that nicely. Reach also getting somebody in the boat, so as they spread things out nicely, they get the defuse up in, and they get map 1 in their favor. The Blazers walk away with this one 13-9.
And with that, I mean, a great showing out of the Blazers, who fall down fairly early. I mean, they had what looked to be a losing first half. And I mean, we went on and on about how great the Bucks were playing. They were doing this, they were doing that. But as soon as those sides flipped, it was a different story. And John Wood shows why this is not only their map pick, but why they are the #1 seed in this tournament. They had the strats planned out. I think back to that one A take where they had the Astra wall already set up beforehand, and they were able to just play around their teammates perfectly and get themselves to a game 1 victory. And with that, we will be moving on to our map 2 in just a moment here. That should be the, I believe it is Ascent, if I'm not mistaken. I'll have to double check that. My apologies there. Oh, Bucks banned Ascent. And so 2nd map will not be Bind or Ascent. Those are the 2 banned maps. We'll get back to you on that. I'm drawing a blank here. My apologies. But with that, how did you feel about that game 1? What do you think about the showing, Trooper?
Very solid by both teams, although you did have the Buccaneers coming out and taking that early lead in the game. Obviously, can't count out the Blazers with their number 1 seed there for a reason, but they did display that textbook split style where they kind of they really do formulate their best game when they're on defense, because split is such a hard map sometimes to really kind of set up for a lot of those attacking sides. So the way that they're able to demonstrate and hold things down and stack up a lot of those rounds on the defending side, they were pretty much biding their time, waiting things out, and once they got on that side, they were really in the right style of play to close things out.
Yeah, I do like the way both teams were very strat heavy going into this map, playing very default positions, rotating in between the sites, never letting anyone over rotate early on, never letting them feel comfortable. And so with that, I think we're gonna have a very competitive series on our hands. Despite John Wood having a dominant second half, I mean the round score in the end was 9-13. It was not a stomp by any means. And so I love to see this style of play where you have all this back and forth and all this deliberation between the teams. And with that being said, we will be going to a short break before our game 2, but don't go anywhere. We will be right back with more Valorant action. It's the Buccaneers versus John Wood. Stay tuned. Welcome back, one and all, to the NJCAAE. It's going to be powered by Barbasol. It's day 2. We got Valorant for you. Game 1 was over to John Wood, and so they're going to be taking the lead heading into our second map of Haven. This is a best of 3 series, and so they have the opportunity to win this right here, right now, if they're able to take this map home. Now, before we head into the game, I do want to give a quick word to our sponsors, Lenovo. Now, Lenovo Legion knows you play to win. To stand out from the competition, you need equipment that matches the speed of your thoughts and your actions. The Legion Y25 monitor delivers wins in the toughest, most critical situations with extreme 1 millisecond response time. 1 millisecond. That's the tiniest bit of seconds you can get. Don't pay attention to nanoseconds, guys. Those don't exist. Anyways, with an extreme response time to its insane 240 hertz refresh rate, the Legion Y25 doesn't just keep up, but it does a lot more. Built for those engaged in vast multiplayer battles at the tournament level, aka us, especially chat, because you're all immortal Valorant, you're all radiant players. The Y25, it does everything for you. The Legion Y25 offers a 24.5-inch FHD IPS panel with built-in NVIDIA G-Sync compatibility. The Y25 monitor is available at Lenovo.com and other fine retailers. You got to get yours today, people. That being said, we're heading into this map. It's Haven, baby. We are live. How you doing, Trooper? How you feeling?
I'm ready to get this next map going after that first map that we've just watched on Split. You have Blazers really taking it to the Buccaneers, especially in that second half of things, and just stringing a huge set of wins together to not only put themselves out in front, but also just kind of showing off why they're this #1 seed and why they are not to be taken lightly as we start things off here on Haven.
Absolutely, and double checking out the team comps here. We got Killjoys, both sides. Always a great defending agent, going to stop a lot of pushers, especially in some of these tight choke points like Garage, like C-Long. You can get a lot of damage done with those. That being said, a few differences in the compositions as well. You see Sages on both sides, Sovas on both sides, but where it comes down to it, it's really just Astra versus Brimstone. And do you have a specific preference on this map, Trooper? Do you think one pick gives you the advantage here?
Well, Astra being so new to the game, there's always going to be things I think that she can do that a lot of players aren't going to be expecting or ready for. So it all comes down to the experience of what your counters are going to be for each specific agent. Brimstone, though, as flexible as he is with these smokes, I'd say Astra does have that slight advantage over him in that aspect. Green starting things off with the first blood there as they do get the plant set up on the C site. And with Killjoy on both sides for these teams, it is going to be a lot harder for these players, not only because of the 3 sites, but for these retakes as well with all that utility in their back pocket. And now with the Nano Swarm trying to split off anybody pushing onto the backside of C, and looking like with that Lear also blinding as much as you can muster coming in on the site. You have another kill in for Just Insane, and he wasn't able to get any more, having to put the whole team nearly on his back in that moment. But the round does come down in the favor of their opponents. So a beautiful way for them to start off the game.
And that's one of the benefits of having a Killjoy on your team, being able to place that turret down on the flank. When Just Insane tried to wrap around, get a few free kills for himself, he was detected, and so they were able to isolate him for the last fight. They knew exactly where he was, and flanking does not pay when you're up against a Killjoy. That's going to happen a whole lot more the more they try it. That's one of the most frustrating things about playing against a Killjoy. If you want to go for a big play yourself, you have a lot of early space that you can take on the map. You're not going to be doing it undetected because this Killjoy will know. She will simply know. And as I say that, Kyrie hears those martial shots ring out. Brimstone's got himself a lot further forward, gets a second headshot before going down. That's going to soften up a few players. Not going to do an insane amount because it is the classic, but still, it gives opportunity, and that's what's important. Jinx now activating on his own flank. This time the Killjoy not going to spot him out. He's got a second on the bomb planter. Just like that, it's a 3v2. He'll double up, though. That's Twister, man, bringing his team back into contention, giving them a commanding lead. And while they do allow the Killjoy to pick up some of those dropped weapons, it's a 1v2. It's the C site. It is a difficult task ahead of Jinx, who avoids the dart for the most part, jiggles out, and so maybe that information will deceive Reach. He thinks that Garage may be cleared, but Jinx has been able to get himself a lot of space around the corner. Oh, that was so close to having a player with his back turned, but Reach smells something fishy in the air and manages to turn around and close out the round for the 2-0 start.
Reach just happened to be in the right place at the right time there. If he had been another step forward, his gun would have definitely been exposed and Jinx would have had the leg up moving into the site, but unfortunately did not bode well on the outcome. So whereas they set up here, Reach going to be looking to potentially eye out that C site. As they do stack on that left side of the map, they're going to potentially be making the aggressive push, try to get through quickly. Brim also throwing down his stim beacon to try and beef them up, give them a little bit of juice as they move through this hallway here. As they move onto the site now, the shock dart at least spreading out a little bit from West T's end. And they do officially get onto the site with the first kill coming down, make that 2 now for Reach. As they do get a trade-off though, they're going to make sure they get the plant in while they still can.
And that was pedal to the metal for Reach there, not taking his time to clear out the site. He does have a Spectre, and that's what Spectres do best. He gets around quickly, catches some players, look in the wrong direction, and he puts the man advantage and the bomb site in the hands of the Buccaneers yet again. They are playing at a pace that looks like John Wood having some trouble keeping up with earlier. As we see Green around the corner, does Irie decide to check him? It's discipline. That's what makes the difference here, and these slow orbs are buying them plenty of time. Green gets the first for himself, but he's traded back. Another headshot going over the way of Jinx. He's got a second for himself, but Andy around the corner will take down Just Insane, and now in a 1v2, Jinx has a whole lot to do, and not a lot of time to do it in. He'll get the kill, but with that, just has to go bounce it out towards Long, and he'll be going down with the bomb. Can't secure the kill with it, and so Fenrir stands tall up on a throne, surrounded by the bodies of poor John Wood.
And that is exactly what you're going to hope for here to start off on Haven, where, I mean, it can be kind of a toss-up for a lot of these teams in the early going, especially with things being split across 3 different sites. A lot of the times it can be quite difficult for the attackers really to get themselves kind of recentered, but the defenders really have the most difficult part of trying to get upset for those retakes. So really, I mean, it does make sense that you're going to see this big lead so far for the side of Blazers, as they do have the strength in numbers, looks like now on that A site, and one going down. That's going to be Green, who gets slowed to a crawl and then taken out by the Sheriff. Brimstem also putting down, shooting the orb over and then getting capped right over the opposing Sage wall, as they do now open the door and move onto the site with the Lear coming in there, trying to blind out while they can, but they're going to be triggering the alarm bot as they move down, try and get that plant through with the only time that they have. Everybody forming down. The spike planter has been taken out of the equation as they do try to hold down that position with Heaven. One player now underneath Hell does get under the smoke somehow, and almost like he sensed him. Only 7 HP, still trying to shoot what he can and not able to stay alive long enough. Only has a prayer, but he shot the molly over the heads to try and buy as much time as he can, but only trying to hold out as long as he possibly can. A good attempt right there, but finally you do have a round now coming in the favor of Buccaneers.
And oh my goodness, John Wood, my goodness, they are going absolutely bonkers right now. Those were some insane shots from the Deagle. Started out there from Brimstem, hitting the first. He goes for a bit of an optimistic jump peek, trying to double up there on the Resurrection, taken out of the round with a nice Vandal shot traded back. But man, just insane. Headshot after headshot, using the dismiss to get himself back to safety, cleans the clock of another before going down and through the smoke. That was a picture perfect, a Kodak moment there for West T. Puts it into a 1v2, and on low HP, all it took was a shot to the body, and man, oh man, I thought I was having a day at the opera because those Sheriffs were singing.
And that is exactly the kind of tune that they're trying to build up right now, and they build upon the momentum they just had, trying to beef up a little bit more in this economy here. And you were talking about skins earlier. I mean, the skins that we've been seeing on both of these squads are pretty amazing, and let alone going to employ a little bit more extra style as they throw things down. The Recon Bolt now going to give a little bit of information in that window side, but now as one moves through, Twisterman hiding in the corner, he's going to at least bide some time there as the trade-off comes through. Westy backing up, sensing somebody going to be poking through that side, and what a way to save his teammate there as Reyna was about to get popped in the back. Spike gets tossed down, Green picking it up real quickly. on that rotation now as they're going to try and try to save what is left of this round.
Yeah, 35 seconds left. They don't have a lot of time to try and work out of sight. And with that, Green, he'll be caught unawares. Jinx still lurking towards that A-Link, expecting the rotations to come in. The Marshall, ooh, close to finding a headshot there. But getting double peaked, no time left in the round. Jinx is going to clean that one up for the second on the board for the side of John Wood, making it a 2-3 match and nearly tying things up. This time around, though, I do believe both teams should have a full armory going into it.
Yeah, and it's gonna be, I think, the way that these two teams have kind of come together when they've had the full firepower. I mean, Blazers has had the minor advantage, and so far, it would be extremely beneficial for them to keep that going right now, as they do have to combat against a team nearly full of ultimates now over on the side of Buccaneers. Let's see how they decide to manage right now, as they start off with the push already coming down and the lockdown also being placed on that site between A and B, trying to isolate these players on the Buccaneers. You also had the Hunter's Fury coming in to just try and space things out, but not able to wrap anybody up. The opposing Hunter's Fury now from the Buccaneers coming through. He does get close, but no cigar on that process. You now have another attempt coming through to try and see if anybody is open, and there come the trade-offs now as they do formulate onto the site. One through heaven now and capping a few more kills through as the Sage Wall drops and tries to cut off a few of these choke points. They do get another spray down with Green, able to rack up 2 more kills on their side and still somehow holding down this attacking force. But how much longer are they going to hold it down as the attackers do outlast and outplay?
Yeah, 3 alive heading into the next round. That's going to be a nice little boon for the economy, especially considering that was pretty fragile for both sides there. They should be able to buy each of their teammates up, and we should see a second full gun round coming out. A lot of ultimates being committed to ensure that they could keep that site under lock there for the Buccaneers, but also on the other side of the same coin, I mean, John Wood used a lot of their own ultimates and still weren't able to come away with anything. They have that resurrection available for this round, which is one of the most important ultimates on their team, and so they still do have plenty of strength and plenty of gas left in the barrel. And as I say that, Green already with an early pick. He wants to get a second for themselves. The A site is completely unlocked off of the back of some great early pickoffs, that time from Fenrir. And they just flood into the site. Lockdown will keep them at bay for that much longer. I wouldn't even be surprised to see an early save call, as they have so much control, and it's going to take them a long while for those smokes to dissipate.
Yeah, and also the big plus there on the timing of that lockdown plant is not only it gives you that time to plant, but also keeping them long enough outside of that site to give you the opportunity to set up for the retake positioning. So also, as it runs out, they do
reach.
Get the strength and numbers now on the low side.
Reach.
That's going to be one taken down, but Brimstone cannot get out of harm's way. Reach is going to be trying to bounce what he can here with that recon bolt, but isn't able to get much as it gets destroyed almost instantly. With that time ticking away, they're going to have to back up and try and just save what guns that they have. Oh, but Reach does push forward. And instead, he wants them to start from scratch. Wipes them both off the board right there and gets them yet another round in their favor.
Reach is not willing to give an inch. He goes for even more, and he takes all the guns out of the hand of John Wood, and that is disaster early on, as they are going to be working with 0 weapons, just some pistols, just a little bit of armor. Irie is able to afford a rifle, and so she'll be the only one with weaponry on the team at the moment.
Eyes up.
And with that, it's going to be a rough round 8 for John Wood.
Try to rain down and get that information from the recon bolt, but nobody is in that line of sight for now, as the C site is going to be where the first kills come into play here. Trading off Brimstone already using that Sheriff now to their advantage pretty effectively here.
Listen, very pushed up though. Ooh, Reach sees it coming,
right when you
man.
mentioned it.
I didn't think he'd be seeing that one coming, but they are just crossing their I's, dotting their T's, playing as disciplined as possible, making sure no corner goes unchecked as they start to sprint back towards the A site. They do have a lurker playing around garage, and so they always have that opportunity to rotate back if they so choose. One player waiting up towards heaven should be able to be swept out by the shock darts, by Sova's darts, and the smoke as well. And so with that, one tag out onto the site. Jinx walks himself out, gets 2 headshots. He is cleaning clocks right now as he goes for even a third around the box, catches one player looking up towards heaven, but you are going to have no help from heaven. You need to do it all yourself. Green gets himself 2 back around the corner with the dismiss. Irie finally trades it out. It's a 1v1 to the bomb, still with plenty of time. She can play this one slowly if she needs to. Taps the bomb once. Player waiting close. Maybe a bit closer than she realizes. She thinks it's short. Instead, Irie's going to slow walk it around, and Andy finds the headshot. 6 on the board for the Buccaneers, as once again, they're taking a lead first half.
That was absolutely beautiful. You have them splitting off, going all towards the A side. One player, that was actually the Reyna, splitting down through the B section and flanking those players that were on the site, coming in at the perfect time to get the double kill and give them that leg up for the victory. Very, very nice play right there. So as I think that's really the separator. As you mentioned, you do have that lurker that's always going to be able to kind of be that flex that you really need, and kind of play that jack of all trades, where if you need them to kind of rotate with the team, they can do so, but also play those flanks so effectively.
Man, a quick hit to the C site. These Sova Hunters series able to really scatter the defense, make sure they have to fall back to their teammates to regroup, go for the retake. And so they'll buy themselves a lot of time and a lot of space to set up after they get the bomb down. But no members being lost. This is still a 5v5, and there is still a lot of utility still available for John Wood. We'll have to see how they play this one out. Green tucked into the corner at the very back of the site. That could be disrupted by the gravity well, but look at Reach. This slow play, this slow flank all the way through garage. This could prove fruitful if they're able to stall out this retake for as long as possible. Already with the man advantage, they start to creep out through garage, cutting off the sound cues. They won't be able to hear it until the very last moment. Twister Man, he's got 2 for himself. Green as well, a 2-pair to finish off the round, and that's 7 now for the Buccaneers. And although this may be the same story as last game where they get ahead in the first half, they are looking a lot more confident.
Way more confident. They're almost as if they were using that first map as kind of their warm-up mode. They were really kind of feeling things out, and now that they kind of realize where the pieces are going to fall between the meshing of these two teams coming together, they really do have a lot of that confidence showing right now, and they're putting all of their best foots forward, and it's working tremendously. Very few mistakes so far on this map. And as they do fly in now towards the side of A, it's going to be another aggressive and quick push, as that seems to be their MO lately, and it has been working so well as Green has been doing more of that and just leading the way with an amazing amount of kills right here, getting a little bit back up from his teammates as they all form onto the site. Let's see exactly how much longer they're going to be able to hold this down, or if Buccaneers can somehow form a retake.
It's going to be difficult. I mean, they've only got the sheriffs in hand. Reach already taking heads off as he goes for a double. He'll get a double. A triple is on the cards for him. And just Insane will be the last one to fall in this domino effect. 8 rounds now. The Buccaneers just steamrolling through ahead.
Economy not looking good for Buccaneers right now. It's going to be that much harder for them to try and claw their way back into this one. But as they do come up towards the half, things can instantly get flipped back into their favor, as we know oh so well. Green, though, leading the way with 15 kills on his side in this opening half, just decimating every player that seems to come into contact with him and expertly using that Reyna.
Yeah, but meanwhile, look at the economy on the side of the Bucks. They have a 9K on nearly every member. They are really swimming in the money right now. They're buying Versace Vandals at this point. They get to have all the designer weapons they want. The blinds coming out. They want to get onto the seaside again, but this time there is a stack waiting for them, and they do have guns. And so instead, they decide to hightail it on out. They have the bomb already moving across the map. They don't want to put themselves in a situation where they could get put into the grinder. A little bit of cross map play here as the lockdown is going to be placed just momentarily. Fenrir flips around 180 for the headshot. Eventually gets himself turned around at a bad spot. West T will finish that one off, and we see a very interesting dart. I'm assuming that is looking towards the player's A-link. A defensive Killjoy lockdown will force them off of the site for now, as Jinx, he'll get himself a headshot as well. And a 3v3, this is a very doable retake. One player detained, locked down on the site, just waiting to get his gun back in his hands. Can't do it. Just insane. Gets himself two. A third one waiting out towards long, and Jink has it covered like white on rice. He is all over that position. And finally, John Wood, they fire back. A third on the round.
That is huge for them right now, as they're trying to get whatever they can here before things flip. And they're somewhat into, I'd say, the advantage. So right here, getting that round back and trying to at least break that streak that has been building for the side of the Blazers. Right here, they can stand toe-to-toe with them now in terms of their loadout, as they do also have a couple ultimates in their back pocket. Reyna is going to be going for that Empress, and as well as Sage getting ready to try and play conservatively here, as always, because you want to make sure you use that res and give yourself that 6-5 advantage going into this last round before the half.
Breach, just tossing an arrow out towards the back of the site. Has the Hunter's Fury available, and so one of the best combinations you can have as Sova is if you're able to tag someone with this drone, you can immediately toss out that Hunter's Fury and you will have full vision of him through the wall, and that's exactly what happens here. Doesn't land the first one, but he should be able to hit the second, and the third one is crucial. Won't nail it. That's a nice movement there. Some fancy footwork from Just Insane is able to get him out of harm's way. But even then, at least his armor has been removed. He's got to get the overheal if he wants to get back to that 150 health margin.
They still haven't made their full choice yet, but all of the players starting to form now towards that midsection. Seeing if they rotate now through garage, potentially. Still waiting. Now, hopping up near towards window. And it looks like that is going to be the C site push, as they do take out one and open up that door with Recon Bolt coming in here to try and gain any more information from people potentially hiding out on that site. But now it's going to be up for the Buccaneers to see if they can try and form this retake here. Build some semblance of a round together. But now Fenrir just spraying through the smoke, taking a hot guess and just able to rack it up with only one player remaining. And just outside now, can't even move in towards the lockdown to give themselves any relative chance here. And that's Irie getting dropped on that final round of the half. With a 9-3 advantage here, I mean, it's going to be a lot of a more advantageous position that we're going to see now from Buccaneers, but it's going to be quite the uphill climb.
Oh yeah, 3 rounds to 9. You gotta string together some miraculous plays if you want to bring this one back. And John Wood really just showing why they're the #1 seed in the tournament. They're having a fantastic go of it so far. They're looking dominant. And it's just a very clean play overall. You wouldn't expect Haven to be a map where strategy matters as much as, let's say, in Ascent, something like that. But it looks like they're just so well coordinated. They're constantly knowing which sites they can rotate to, where the enemy team is. They're working out with the sound cues, with this Sova vision. And they're just playing like a well-oiled machine right now.
And it looks like that Buccaneers are going to be choosing the C side as their opening push here for attackers. As nobody going to be waiting over on that C site. They have a free take here. And we're going to find out right now what the Blazers have ready for them to try and get back onto that site. They do now sneak their way in through the garage. They did get a little bit of a flank, though, coming in now from Blazers. 2 members of the Blazers are going to be coming in now through long C, but they just get wiped by Just Insane's. Just rocking that Reyna as he does so well. Reen on the other Reyna doing work as well as he has, leading his way with frags on his team. And with that plank coming in, they're able to hold down these corners long enough. I don't know if they're going to be able to get onto the site. And there's only one player left, and they're just going to hope that they can survive long enough, as they do know somebody's about to come around that corner. But with it being the eco round, he's just going to go for it. And in that moment, you do have another round getting put into the attacker side. So luckily, that is going to be the Buccaneers getting back on the board.
Yeah, and the Buccaneers, some individual performances kind of saving them there. Jinx sprinting out with that frenzy. 3 kills on the first round. Never an easy thing to do. And with that post plant being crucial, they now give themselves a lifeline. With this bonus, they should be able to put themselves at 5-9. Another fairly close game. And if they're able to get this momentum really rolling on the attacker side, you could see another fantastic comeback here. And as I say that, already showing a lot of pressure towards mid. They're not wasting any time. to make the B players sweat just a bit.
Taking those few shots in the center portion of the map. Looks like everybody going to be forming now in the B site. Going to be a crazy battle right now between these two teams. Once that stage wall goes down, if they're going to hold this position. But now with the smokes up here, a lot more information being gained between these two teams. But it looks like that they're going to be trying to use it as bait as much as they can here before they make their final decision. They're trying to spread out a bit. There's one player going down. Fenrir getting the opening kill with the Sheriff there, taking Jinx off of the playing field right here as they move back towards that B site and potentially now opening the door cut off between A and B. It looks like that they're going to be rotating out towards that A site. One player in, ready to flex. Westy just blasting through the corner and able to take Green out. Irie getting a kill on their side, and that is going to be the moment that they need now to push and make their decision.
Oh, but Fenrir has something to say about it. A second headshot makes the numbers even. They aren't able to retrieve too many weapons. That should be a Spectre at least down mid. And so they actually have a pretty decent armory to try and go for this retake, especially Reach. That's a great Sova arrow. That's going to see so much of the map, so much of the A site. And when they realize that there's no players spotted out by the arrow, they work out that there's only a few positions they could possibly be at this point. One playing short, one playing long, but Andy's got his knife out, and Irie says, thank you very much. I didn't want to shoot against a gun player anyways. I'd much rather go against a knifing psychopath. Justin Stain lines them both up, takes them down. And that retake looked nice and easy. Easy does it for a 5th round. Buccaneers coming back.
Yeah, exactly what we were suspecting here with the way that Haven plays. It's so much harder for you to really dominate on the defending side for a lot of rounds in a row. You do have now them starting to dial it back in here as they flip over on the attacking side. And I like how they started things off in the first few rounds. I mean, they kind of, they haven't now... They've kind of picked each site single-handedly on these last 3 rounds, just trying to keep their opponents guessing here. So let's see where they decide to go from here as they now all do form back into the middle, trying to stay flexible.
And towards Garage, Killjoy having to use those nanoswarm grenades early on because he's smoked off. Gonna be using a lot of his utility early on, and without that, Killjoy doesn't provide nearly as much use in the way of her abilities, and also a pick early on towards mid. That's going to pull apart the defense. They have to move every which way. You can already see players abandoning their sights. Sova moving off of C. Only a single player left on A. And that's just what happens when you lose someone early on in a map like Haven. This is probably one of the most punishing maps for you to lose an opening duel. And so with that, Green does have a nice position here. If they don't check him, he can really put some damage to the numbers. Instead, he's going to take the fight to them, and Green wins the duel against his imposter.
And now with that being the moment that they needed, I think it looks like that they're going to be running down towards that A-long and getting onto the site now with those shots coming in towards the back of the site. Nice smoke coming down as well from the Astra, opening that opportunity up for them to get the plant. Now, Green going to be covering up into Heaven, but they smoke out Heaven in the perfect time to cut off that area. So they're going to have even more time on their side here to hold them off and hopefully prevent the defuse as another player drops down. More trades coming back and forth, but the slight advantage holding for the moment to the side of Blazers as they do somehow stay alive and wipe the floor with those remaining players of Buccaneers and do retake that site and get that defuse.
Fenrir with his head in a swivel there gets the first kill close. The second one flips back around to take down the second Killjoy. He makes sure he knows this is a Killjoy differential, buddy. I know you're top fragging on your team, Jinx. You're doing a great job, but let me show you what I can do. Let me show you what I got in the back pocket here. As we see Fenrir getting his ultimate off of that heroic play. He's gonna have that lockdown available if they try and push onto a site too brazenly. Jinx as well, nearing his own. Empress available for Just Insane. With how many headshots he has been showing us throughout these 2 maps, throughout this series so far, I like his chances when he has that up and available.
Now with that garage push coming into play here, Jinx sniffing out the opposing Killjoy's utilities here, just trying to see if they can get one more frag before they make the push through. Just taking out that nade right before it potentially got popped. And now with them collapsing onto this window, A lot of pressure now sent into this one area. Let's see if anybody is going to be able to get onto the site in time. They do have one man on the site holding it down, but how long is Reach going to be able to stay alive? He's doing a lot of work right now, somehow staying alive to take out 3 on his own. And really an unfortunate circumstance for Buccaneers when you really had only one man to deal with, and unfortunately taking 3 players out to slowly start to even these odds up. Now with only the 2v1 advantage here, Twisterman not fully out of it yet here. He can make something happen, but only holding on to the Sheriff here. Let's see if he's going to try and make a play.
Oh yeah, he has some smokes available, but again, with the limited weaponry that he has in his armory, it's not going to be easy, and they've already got him covered. They saw where he was coming from, or did they? He looks away at kind of an awkward moment. He gets a headshot lined up, both players within his line of sight, but Brimstem through the wall will get his own headshot to shut down the potential comeback into that round. And that looked to be a heart stopper for just a moment there, as both of the players very nearly get collateraled, but in the end, they'll take it home for 10 rounds on the board for John Wood, looking to win this series quickly. They want to go to bed. They want to eat some dinner. They don't want to stick around for too much longer.
Yeah, it was a great set of timing right there from Twisterman as he dropped down that smoke off site to try and bait them, taking their eyes off of the doorway he came onto the site, and just the luck that he had to line them up. Unfortunate that he had a Sheriff. Near perfect shots were needed to get that set of kills right there, but either way, you do have a very successful amount of energy now coming from that build on this team. You do have the push now in the center again, and that has been a favored spot right here for the Buccaneers, trying to at least make themselves push between B and A for the most part. C usually once things start to fall apart here, as they do now make another set of smokes drop down. That's going to be Twisterman dropping those smokes to try and hold them off, and there comes the rotation now on the A site as Green was holding that corner, but only with the Sheriff. As they do take him out, I think that is going to be the opportunity they need to now rush that site.
Twisterman going to be put to the test here as he's waiting on the A side. He is the only one here for now, and he's got a whole lot of players already collapsing upon him. He's going to swing himself around the corner, gets a headshot, but it's only the stinger. It's not a lot of punch behind those shots, and so just insane. He's kind of just hiding out here behind that Astra wall. He could actually spring into action at a crucial point, but instead he's just watching this little crack. And with just pistols and a 2-man advantage for the opposition, I don't like their chances on this retake. Reach just trying to walk himself through the smoke, try and pre-fire with that burst through the smoke to try and maybe catch out a straggler, playing close up. Uses that dart as well, but he walks himself right into the crossfire, and there is not a lot going on at this point. If they try and overextend, though, Andy does have a shorty and could mean business. Instead, he just goes jumping around the corner like a madman, not going to take down anyone. It is a flawless round for the attacking side. Finally, the Buccaneers showing some life.
Came together very well right there, winning all of those gunfights that they had, because you had a few of those players kind of suspecting there was going to be a push, maybe towards A short, maybe towards A long, kind of having a couple of those players watching their backs there, and taking their eyes off of the site for even a moment. But everybody winning their gunfights, they didn't need all 5 men to be looking towards the doorway they were pushing. So a very nice display right there, and not much between these teams separating them. Things have been really getting stacked now in the favor of the Buccaneers.
Ooh, but the judge around the corner. The judge is always interesting to watch. This gun will either kill everyone on the team if they push into him, or it will come away empty-handed. There is no in-between. And Andy, he has his mouth watering. He is foaming at the mouth right now. He knows if they get around this corner, he could just blast them through, and already he sees a few of the muzzle fires in his line of sight, but no one biting just yet. And he's hearing all these footsteps. The anticipation is building as he's calling his teammates over. He knows where they're hitting, and they're already so far up the B site. They've got 2 members ready and waiting. Reach gets the first through the wall, and he doesn't get any action for himself, unfortunately, but he's still ready and waiting for someone to overextend, someone to overaggress, but he lets out a few shots. They do realize that he has the judge now, and they're not going to be willing to push into him with that fact in mind. Jinx gets himself the A lurker. Fenrir taken down. That's going to open up a lot more avenues, but Green pushed up. It's going to be up to the timing. Oh, just misses his opposition. Westy, though, backs himself right into a headshot, and Green happily obliges for another free kill. But Jinx, time after time, when they find themselves at a disadvantage, this Killjoy just activates, but Andy put to the test now. There's a blind right in front of him, but he's close enough to see the muzzles. He's got one for himself, but just insane manages to trade it out with that crab walk spray. A 2v2 with 14 seconds. They're able to get the bomb down onto the site with two members rotating over.
Spike planted.
That was insane. Nearly getting the double kill in the Lear blinding and an unbelievable attempt. But really, when you have the judge, like you said, it is that strong. It can just pack that much of a punch. He just went for it. And he did work out slightly, but that's insane. Getting one kill, not able to turn and get the second one. That would have been his fourth, I believe, of the round. Doing just enough, but not enough to get the victory here, as you do now have the defuse coming in for Green on their side. It looks like now for Blazers, they have a huge advantage here now, especially with that win. I think that this was the moment here. I think that the Buccaneers needed to try and hurt the economy and stack up some more wins on their side. But you do now have them kind of having to think things through here, potentially going for most likely a half by here. But let's see how they do go forward.
Yeah, and that hurts to lose. That really does hurt to lose. Jinx is doing so much to try and give his team opportunities, but it's just not working out in the end. These post plans just barely not going the direction of the Buccaneers. Now they find themselves staring down the barrel of a loaded gun. 11 rounds on the board for John Wood. So we see a bit of trickery going out, but Reach, man. Reach, you cannot get past him without forking over a few kills, and already one is the tax to be paid for this operator in hand. C-site going to be that much harder to get onto. You're going to have to smoke off the operator, and it never feels good to have to use your smoke on one of your own positions to make sure the operator can't pick you off one by one. That being said, though, back towards the A site, they decide they want nothing to do with that operator. Instead, they'll just try and get through some of these Twister Man smokes himself, but he's playing close to it with the Spectre.
Still holding all of those angles right now. One of the slowest rounds that we've seen in quite some time on this map. Everything has been very fast-paced up until this moment, as they are now in crucial stages of this game. Every mistake is really going to feel that much worse, so these teams are going to be taking their time here. The smokes do drop down as they move on to the site. That's going to be the A site, but Twisterman waiting in the perfect corner there, setting it up and dropping it right at that perfect time to give them an advantage. Also now, as they do send that rotation through to the other side, it's going to be quite difficult here. And I don't know if they're going to revive somebody as of yet, but they are definitely going to hold off, at least for the time being. They do only have a handful of seconds remaining to get onto the site and get the plant down. Let's see exactly how this retake is going to get through.
And they do catch them slipping. They get Jinx back on the board, their best fragging members so far in the game. And so they have a good chance at holding on to this retake. Andy going for the plank, but they already have several members watching it, and he's only got a Spectre in hand. Does have the Resurrection available, but if he gets taken out early on, he won't have the opportunity to use it. Instead, it's Irie standing on the front lines. Wide sweeps onto Fenrir, wants to keep him pinned down. Instead, the flanker has been removed. Green catches Irie out as she's trying to fall back to her teammates, but there are several ults that can stall this one out, including the Hunter's Fury. Hunter's Fury being popped, but Fenrir already with two. He's left alone to try and stop the push himself, and Fenrir is already just Ferrari peeking, sprints down Usain Bolt for the three-piece, and that's going to be the defusal and a 12th round for John Wood. The Buccaneers have their backs pinned against the wall for the rest of this map.
Twister just using that ult at the perfect time and really setting up Fenrir to get those sets of kills that they needed and putting them out of that position, and also doing a little bit of damage on top of it. So just a beautiful set right there on that side and closing that opportunity that they really had. I mean, it was the very small chance that they had. They took quite a chance themselves with only 3 men trying to push down through C-Long, but with not many options remaining, they took their chance, and only one round now separates the Blazers from walking away with not just this map, but the series.
Yeah, 7-12. It's got to be 5 rounds in a row if they want a chance of coming back here. Green will be put to the test and can't answer to just insane. The pressure too heavy, but Twisterman back towards short. He's able to get one and fall back to safety, so he's going to deny them so much space to work with. Reach chimes in with an op shot of his own, making it a 3v2, and already the Buccaneers facing elimination here as Twisterman still just playing it conservatively, playing safe, may even try and smoke himself off to make sure they can always have to be looking over their shoulders. Westy manages to swing back out, get the kill to make it a 2v2, but he loses so much of his own life bar as a result, and around the corner, that drone will spot out Brimston. They have him pinned down from heaven. The operator can slowly move out towards the site as well. Using that dart, it will spot them both, but they're waiting, they're hesitating. They don't want to pull the trigger just yet, and this bomb is ticking lower and lower. Eventually, they have to get aggressive here, and Brimston on the front lines, he's got to be crucial. The res goes out. It's going to get a player back on the board, but this bomb is ticking and ticking, and I don't think they have the chance to do this. Through the wall, Brimston, he'll get the round on the board, and he'll secure it, but this bomb blowing up may take it down with him. Captain goes down with the ship, and 8 on the board for the Buccaneers.
Absolutely worth it. Doing plenty of work right there, and just the way that they collapse onto the site and keeping them just at that time. You had that sage wall getting put down, and that little tiny opening is all that was needed to shut it down there and close off the end of that game right there. That was right in front of us. They had a great opportunity, but you have the advantage coming in from Buccaneers. They were able to make the most of it, and they're looking to try and build upon it right now, as they do have the numbers again pushing in to the middle of the map. Let's see how effectively they're going to be. They have Reyna with that ultimate ready to pop it at any time, and it could be the play, as they do need as much aggression as possible, as they're all forming onto the site here, with Fenrir trying to set up a little bit over the wall here and dropping as much of his nanoswarm as possible.
Oh, and this is getting rough. This is getting rough. Kills being traded back and forth. And once again, it's the Buccaneers finding themselves worse for wear, as they couldn't get the bomb down in time. If you want to hit the B site, you have to do it quickly. And instead, they just get pushed, squeezed tighter and tighter by John Wood, until eventually they're asphyxiated and they lose the game because of it.
Absolute just beauty right there with the way that they closed out these maps. And full confidence in their playstyle as well. You could tell that these guys are a very, very well-knit team. This squad is definitely in that #1 ranking for a reason. You have it now with Green actually leading their team with 24 kills and looking amazing on both maps. Really, just when you have a Reyna that's able to utilize just every tool so effectively, I mean, and top frag like that, it's going to be quite hard to overcome.